The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello and welcome to Weighted Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger, and today's guest is Jonathan Mayo of MLB.com. Jonathan, welcome and thank you for coming on.
Of course, Wayne.
So, Jonathan, you're the draft guy. You're the minor league guy. What do you think? Do you have any predictions for, let's say, for the first three picks of the draft?
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. I mean, we'll do a couple more of these before the draft actually hits, but right now the front runner has and continues to be Casey Mize in the number one spot. He's the right-hander out of Auburn. Who's probably separated himself more than any other prospect in this class, had a really good year, in a really good college conference in the SEC, great stuff, plus command, could be quick to the big leagues. Right now at number two, I have Joey Bart, who's a catcher at Georgia Tech. Catching is hard to come by, and I haven't had like a really good all-around college catcher to consider this high in the draft in quite some time. So he's at number two. And then number three is it's still very much up in the air. For now, we'll say Nick Madrigal, the middle infielder at Oregon State, is a little undersized, but he can really, really hit. He can run. Really good performer. Just takes a certain amount of guts to pull the trigger that high on a guy who's, about 5'6" or 7.
Okay. And, do you have any guys who you feel as though won't get picked as high, but you're looking at them and you're saying, okay, I get it why they're not rated that high, but I still think this guy's gonna be a player?
I mean, there's so many. I mean, if you look at drafts year after year, there are always guys who go in third, fourth, fifth, whatever round that end up being very good. Let me see if I can come up with a couple of guys who I really like, who I think will be good. Sometimes they slip because of injury, and then you don't know what the deal is going to be there. One guy who's kind of a little interesting is Kyle Isbell. We have him ranked number 75, and he's at UNLV. He's an outfielder. He's a good outfielder, with the chance to play center field. But there is a chance that maybe he could play second base. And he played some in the Cape Cod League last year. Some scouts have compared him to Jason Kipnis of the Indians, who was sort of similar in that, he played second, but he also played some outfield, before, becoming a second baseman full time. And, it's been ironic that he's seen some time in the outfield more recently in his career, but, good college performer, a little bit underrated. And I could see him being the kind of guy who goes, say, in the second or third round and ends up being a really, really good big leaguer.
Okay. I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with any guys, and I'm only asking because my oldest son is a huge UCF fan. He graduated from there. Are you familiar with any of the guys from UCF?
Let me call up my list as we're talking here.
How about J.J. Montgomery? Does that name ring a bell?
I mean, I know the name, but I don't know much about him.
Okay, that's okay. No, I was just curious, And what about Tyler Osick? Are you familiar with him?
I am not. Yeah,
okay,
I'm looking through the list of guys from Central Florida. None of them are top guys, so I don't really know them.
No, I believe me. I understand. I get it. It's there's not much on them. My son, just asked me to ask. So now you've been doing this. All right. So how many years have you been zoned in, so to speak? Have you been the draft guy, the minor league guy? How many years?
It's been a while. We've always covered the draft a lot. I've been at MLB.com since 1999, and that first year I was there in '99, we did a ton of draft coverage, but it was just part of everything else I was doing. 2003 is the year I really started focusing on minor league prospects in the draft as my full-time gig. So I've been doing it ever since then.
Okay, so let's go back a few years. I don't want to go back too far, but I don't want to be too close. So 2014 draft. What were some of your personal hits and misses based on, not so much where guys would get drafted because that's like kind of consensus, but what were some of your hits and misses that you think in your mind on guys who you were sure would make it and guys who you didn't think would have much impact and did? That would have been the Brady Aiken draft, Carlos Rodon, Schwarber, Nick Gordon.
Right. So, I think the jury is still out, still. Nick Gordon hasn't even made it to the big leagues yet. I think the guys that have surprised me, have yet to do anything. I thought Tyler Beatty would have been a guy who, and he has made it up to the big leagues but he's struggled some performance-wise. So he's a guy out of Vanderbilt who I thought was going to be a really good player. Obviously, Brady Aiken didn't sign. Tyler Kolek had Tommy John surgery. So they're still incompletes right there. Nick Gordon went 5th overall. He's working his way up, just got promoted to AAA. He's, headed in the right direction. Alex Jackson has been surprising. Now, there's still plenty of time for him to get to the big leagues, but he was touted as such a good pure hitter that, I think that most people thought that he would move relatively quickly. In fact, the Mariners moved him from out behind the plate thinking that the bat would carry him to the big leagues in a hurry. But, it is interesting. Aaron Nola, who was the number 7 overall pick in that draft, has, overall been the best big leaguer from there so far. Trey Turner's not too far behind. But Nola was not a guy that people were thrilled with. He had unbelievable control and a little bit of a weird arm action, and now he's being mentioned as a potential Cy Young Award candidate for this year. So I think and he still was a top 10 pick. It's not like he was a 5th rounder, but I think those are just some guys from that draft.
Okay, and is there coming up now in the minor leagues? I know it's draft time, and I know a lot of your focus is there, but do you see any some of the guys like Guerrero and Tatis and Bo Bichette, some of these very highly regarded prospects? I know they're in AA. Do you think they're going to make? Do you think they'll get promoted to the majors this year?
If Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not in the big leagues before this year is over, I'll fall off my chair. I just, think he's hitting .426 currently, and already has 53 runs, batted 11 home. His numbers are just ridiculous, and he doesn't strike out, and he draws walks, and everything he hits is hard. So I have to think that he will be in the big leagues at some point. Eloy Jimenez is another guy you should mention, also in AA, but putting up very good numbers. And you look at what the Nationals did, and they promoted Juan Soto from AA to the big leagues. I think that's a distinct possibility. If you can compete in AA, usually you can do well. Tatis, who you brought up, started a little slowly. He's coming on now. The caveat being, especially for Tatis and Guerrero, they're still teenagers. So there's no need to rush them. You could send them to AAA for a month if you wanted, just to give them do it a little more incrementally. But I could see either one of them ending up in the big leagues before the year is over.
Okay. Derek Rodriguez, Ivan Rodriguez's son, he just got called up. You give us a little scouting report on him?
Yeah, I don't know much about Derek Rodriguez. I'll be honest with you. I did see that he got called up, and that's about the extent that I know.
That's okay. And you know what? And I truly appreciate that instead of someone BSing their way through it. I love that, So, okay, and some of the guys, Gleyber Torres, Ronald Acuna, for real? Absolutely for real?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer. I mean, Acuna's got one of the best collections of tools we've seen in a long time. And I think he already showed that it'll play at the big league level, and he got dinged up a little bit, but I think he'll be fine. And Gleyber Torres is just a professional, and seeing him, it was in the Arizona Fall League. It was the year before last, before he had Tommy John surgery on his non-throwing elbow. It looked like it was going to work that year, and then he got hurt. So the fact that he's up and he's, you're never going to predict a guy to hit, homers in 4 straight games this early in the big league career or whatever it is he did. But, he doesn't have to be the guy there, because of some of the other ridiculous superstars they have on that team. So he can kind of quietly go about his business, and he does everything well. It's not just the bat. He's a good defender. So all that is going to help him stay for a very, very long time.
Okay. I know you're short on time. I know you got a heavy workload the next few days. I appreciate you coming on. And I'll reach out to you after the draft. We'll see if you have a little bit of time, and we can maybe do a little recap. And that'll be it.
All right.
So,
Sounds good.
Jonathan, thank you very much for coming on. I truly appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
So long. Have a great day. Okay, folks, that's our short show for today. Jonathan's got a heavy workload. And I really appreciate that he came on in the first place. This is draft time. This is busy season. So, with that, we'll see you till the next show.